Welcome! I am Sampstra Games and this video is sponsored by Slytherin. Today I'm going to introduce my favorite feature of the new Field of Glory Kingdoms, Rajas and Tribes DLC, and that's the Great Trades. So what is it? It's a new way to gain legacy and money. How can you find it? If you click here on the national panel and over here you'll have access to the Great Trades panel button. If you don't have this here, that means that your nation is not eligible. So we're gonna click on this here and here's what you can see. So here you can see the total amount of legacy that your nation brings and other top nations around. And here you can see the same information split into each type of resource. There are 8 resources total. So you can see I'm getting 8. You can also see the amount of legacy that you're getting up here. It's under the From Unique Structures and Wonders category. Basically, this sums up all of the legacy from Great Trades and other legacy that your buildings give you. So for me, I have 8, plus if you're going to be playing as Indian nations, you're probably going to have a bunch of ashrams, which all gives you legacy. So I have 4 of these, so that's plus 1.6, that's 9.6. And I have 20% factional bonus, so that rounds up to 11. So you can see that same information over here. So in order to make this work, you need to have a merchant. This is a Tier 1 commerce and production buildings. You do not need to have the Traders Bureau in order to build them, so they're just available from the beginning. If you can get that resource, so if you are importing it or if it's local, then it will give you a legacy point. You will not get that legacy point if the goods is missing. And it will always say here legacy increase 1 or 2 if you're getting it, otherwise this will not be here. Here you can see an example of a merchant that is not actually giving me any legacy, and that's because I have an amber merchant but the amber is missing. You will still have to pay the money to gain the good, but I am obviously not getting any legacy, so watch out for that. On top of the legacy that is giving you, you're also getting money. The current gain is 2 per building of category in commerce and workshops, up to maximum of 12. So you can see here I've got 5 buildings, so I'm getting 10 money. So you can get quite a lot of money from this building, from each merchant. Basically you can get up to 12. And it's not difficult, like you're gonna get a lot of the buildings in the regions that you focus this on. So each merchant can give you up to 3 things. It can give you legacy, it can give you money, and some other resource. In this case for silk it's equipment, but for others it can be stewardship, for example. Now there are 8 types of merchants total, so let's all go over them. So we have the silk merchants, which can give you money and equipment. We have the spice merchant, which can give you money and stewardship. We have the wild beast merchant, which gives you money and stewardship. We have the furs and pelts merchant, which gives you money and equipment. We have the frankincense merchant, which gives you money and stewardship. We have the ivory and tusk merchant, who gives you money and equipment. The salt merchant, which gives you money and stewardship. And amber merchant, who gives you money. So let's talk about resources and traders. So how can you get the resources for all of these buildings? Now, some of these resources will just be naturally available. For example, in this region, I have simply naturally available ivory and tusks. You can also have naturally available spices or frankincense and etc. or salt, and you can see it up here in natural trade goods. You can also manufacture these different resources. Some of these resources have their own buildings that you can use to make them. For example, salt has a salt mine and a salt mart. Now, if you want to know what are the buildings that can make these resources, you need to find an area where this good is a missing bonus trade good, and then you hover over. So for example, for wild beasts, you can make them through a master hunter, emporium depot, and wild beast trader. Now the master hunter and the emporium are sort of buildings that we always had that allow you to make wild beasts, but now there are new buildings one for each resource that allow you to make this resource, and these are called the trader buildings. They don't take up a slot, so here you can see the frankincense trader, for example, and they always produce 2 of that resource. They're tier 1 commerce and production building, and in order to build them you will need some impediment that allows you to build it. So here we have extreme weather, and then you can see here that says will allow frankincense trader and a spice trader, so you can build them over years. A really cool thing about them is that because it doesn't take a slot, you should always be building. Even if you don't have the right merchants, there's literally no negative to building this, and you will always at least get some trade money if you manage to trade it with yourself or with other people, except, well, for infrastructure upkeep, but that's minimal. Now this leads me great to the next chapter, and this is drawbacks. So in order to build these traders, you need to have some impediments. There are a variety of different impediments. Not all of them will allow you to build traders, but some of them do. Impediment is usually a zero cost building or a structure, here it's snow leopards, that gives you some negative effect. For example, here I'm losing food, manpower, and I have increased of revolt rates. In exchange, some of them allow you to gain some bonus. For example, here I can get the forest and pelts trader and the wild beast traders. There is a variety of ways to remove an impediment. Here, for example, if you place an army strong enough, if you have specific types of buildings, or if you have the remove hostile regional decision. Now, the way this works is that once you build the traders and this building gets removed, then the traders stay. But if there is some kind of like an attack on the region, then and the buildings get destroyed, then you can obviously no longer build another trader here because you don't have the impediment that allows you to do it. So you might not always want to remove an impediment, especially if what it's giving you it's not that big of a deal. So for example, the food and manpower is not a big deal for me. The revolt risk here is not great. But what I wanted to talk about here, especially these remove hostiles and remove civilized and etc. regional decisions that allow you to remove this, is that, for example, in this region I have Thieves Gang, which you remove by using the remove hostiles decision, for example. And I also have the snow leopards. But you don't have any way to direct which one are you removing. So what happened to me is I used my remove hostiles decision and actually removed the snow leopards and not the Thieves Gang. So be careful about this and make sure, for example, in this case, you'll probably be better off building a night watch or a city watch and removing the gangs this way so you can keep the leopards. So here, for example, we have an extreme weather. Now this gives you 5% health penalty. This is pretty rough. So here, this might be an area that I would think about actually removing the impediment after I've built both the frankincense and spice trader, which is now, because health penalty is just not good. So you can here see the top legacy earning nations, and each turn one of the top 3 will gain some bonus. There's 60% chance that it's the one on the top, 30% chance that it's the second one, and 10% chance that it's the third one. There are 3 bonuses that you can get. There is trust trains, thriving business, and little eyes everywhere. You can see it here in the round trades. Trust trains has a duration of 2, and it can give you increased trade range and trade acumen. This is actually really cool because remember, the way the trade works in this game is that you're always sending your resources to whoever has the highest trade acumen. So even if you need a good and someone else needs it but they have higher trade acumen, you send it over to them. So having a higher trade acumen will give you a better chance of getting some of these resources that you need for the merchants or for anything else in your kingdom, and for 2 turns, and they might give it to you. And then if within 2 turns you can get it again, then you can basically continuously get more legacy, and you don't have to pay as much money because you'll be getting the resources you need, and you don't have to pay for missing goods. The trade rate bonus is good for the same reason. You can also get little eyes everywhere, which allows you to lift a fog of war. And finally we have the thriving business. Let me tell you how to get 2 legacy in one merchant building. So, the way the merchant building works is that you will gain 1 legacy up to 2 for each good of that resource that you are importing. But it doesn't actually have to be imported for the specific trader that you need. So for example, if you have a salt house and a salt merchant and you have 2 salt that you both have that you're importing, then your salt merchant will give you 2 legacy. This, aside from allowing you to get 2 legacy if you get the right combo, also means that if you only have 1 of that resource, you can still get the legacy bonus even though your salt merchant is not using it. So I am in the right, I have a salt house that needs the salt, and I have a salt merchant. I only have 1 salt. This salt is being used by the salt house. It's made by the salt mine, and my salt merchant is actually not getting any good. So if you click on the salt merchants, you can see I am paying the missing good, but voila, I'm still getting my legacy. How come? Well, because the salt is coming to the region, and that's all the merchant needs. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and stay tuned for more. Bye bye!